you can always push for new business. You can always go fishing and send flyers for more and more, and that's fine because you want to grow. But I think that all the people that I've seen who've been really successful have been able to maintain a balance between growing the business, getting new business that comes in, while maintaining and appreciating it and generating from the business that already exists. It comes from the service that you give before, during and after the transaction.
Le domaine du courtage est en constante évolution. Dans une ère technologique où le changement est presque assuré et inévitable, il faut plus que jamais rester à jour et s'adapter aux tendances innovatrices de notre domaine. Vous voulez apprendre des meilleurs courtiers hypothécaires et immobiliers du Québec? Vous voulez devenir un leader dans le courtage? Voici le podcast qu'il vous faut. Les courtiers du Québec avec Seroujan Kenishalingam.
I'm not scripting anything. I'm not reading off of everything. It's going to come naturally, and I'll answer you as forthcomingly and with as much, value as I can give both you and your audience.
Perfect, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being here with me. It's a pleasure to have you. I heard about you from a lot of realtors, and they asked me to bring Sebastien on your podcast, and that's awesome. What I'm doing. So thanks a lot. So for those who don't know you, okay, can you just talk about yourself a little bit so we can get to know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, first of all, look, thank you for doing this, for putting yourself out there. I think it's important, and it's nice to see people that are, following their passions, and it's clear that you're passionate about what you're doing. And I think that makes all the difference.
Thank you.
Look, about me, like a lot of people, I try to, put myself out there as an entrepreneur. I'm in real estate, been doing it for 16 years. It's a family business. My father was in the business, my grandfather, my wife, my mother. So, that's pretty much where I got the roots. And it came with a lot of positivity in the sense that I was able to see from a very young age the real estate business. And so that taught me very, very much. I also saw from a young age what I liked and what I didn't like about the real estate business. And so coming into it myself, I decided to do things a little bit differently than what my father and my grandfather had done. They were what we would call solo agents that would work, on their own, my father and my mother. And, I really like the concept of having a team, of building a team. And so from the very, very, very beginning, I started working on different concepts for team building. And, but I have to say that through the years of experience, of trial and error and different things, I'm starting to get the hang of it now after 15 years, 16 years.
I'm seeing all over the place on social media what you guys are doing. So you're doing a great job.
Again, it really, there's different stages of business, right? There's an evolution. I would say that I changed my business significantly in 2014. We started developing what we call a secteur ferme, an area in which we like to work in Auteuil and Vimont as of 2015, pretty much. So basically, the model that I have now is something that we started building about 5 years ago. So that, to put things into perspective.
So where did you decide to, I have so many questions. I have so many. Why did you decide to have a team?
Yeah.
So
well, okay. So I guess it goes back to what I said a little bit earlier. I was fortunate to see my dad hustle, and really hustle he did. He was one of the top agents at Remax, one of the top agents at his office. And it came at a cost. It came at a cost that he was working, 7 days a week. They had an admin person. In fact, the way that it worked is this. He started working, got really busy, brought my mom on board so she can help him out. She became a real estate agent. She became busy. They hired a secretary. And basically that unit, that 3-person unit, would do just phenomenal numbers from, they would work from home. But I saw that it came at a cost. Fortunately, my father started real estate when I was a little bit older. I was already 15 years old. And so I didn't need to be next to him, every day. Whereas I started real estate younger, and I knew that I didn't want to sustain that sort of pace. I didn't see it as a sustainable pace. Plus, I enjoy spending time with my friends, with my family. And so building a team, it's not all on you. It comes with different challenges, obviously.
That's for sure.
But I guess the first element of a team, whether you're part of a team or whether you're building a team, it's for a certain type of quality of life. So that's really the main thing, quality of life.
And you can grow your business even faster and bigger because there's a lot of people helping you, right? So you can delegate a lot of stuff to other brokers. If you have so much leads that comes in, you don't have to do all you by yourself, right?
That's part of the process. And I would say it's a small part of the process. Mm-hmm. Certain teams are built in that way where it's just the team members take the overflow of the busy guy or the busy girl or the busy couple. I really pride myself in saying that our team system is very different. My role as a team leader is to build the leadership of the people around me. So it's not, well, because I'm too busy or that I'm delegating certain things. It's really, what is it that person that's part of the team, what is it that they can bring to the team? What is it that they need from the team? What are our common objectives? What are their personal goals? And so I'd say a big portion of my time is spent with them developing that, pushing for their goals, keeping them accountable to what it is that they're setting out to do. And yes, obviously it creates a space in which certain things I won't do as much anymore. But I always tell my team, there's nothing that I'm ever going to ask you to do that I either haven't done myself or still do, and from closing a deal to sweeping the floor of the office to taking out the garbage to, you got to do it all.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the philosophy, that's the leadership that we're developing from within.
Perfect. I'm going to talk more about your team a little bit later because otherwise I will forget the question I have to ask you before. So one of the questions I love to ask all my interviewees is, what did you want to do like when you were younger? Because usually like nobody wants to be a real estate broker. When we're younger, we don't even know about real. Oh, maybe you of course you do. That's a different case, right?
But you know what? No, it falls in line perfectly. I did not want to be a real estate agent. I mean, I saw my dad, and for my dad, this was a second career. He had already had a career in the retail business. He started real estate. In fact, he was about my age, 40 years old. And so, I mean, I was very proud of their accomplishments, and I looked up to him and I still do in a lot of ways, but I didn't want to do real estate. And so after, it wasn't my calling. I had more of an artistic flair. And so when I finished CJEP, I actually moved to Italy for a couple of years, about a year and a half. Wow. And I went there to study Italian, to study graphic design. I wanted to be an artist. And
that's why you have a big board on your back.
Yeah, well, that's a good friend of mine, Robert Massey. So I went to Italy, lived there at the time of my life. I mean, I was 20 something. And then when I finished that whole part of my life, I came here back to Montreal, and I realized that I wasn't going to make a living as an artist. That I loved it as a passion, as a hobby. I love everything that's that's beautiful, that's artistic. But I'm like, I really didn't know. And so I went to work in construction a little bit. And it's my grandfather, actually, who said to me, he's like, why don't you just do your course? Your family's in it. I'm in it. I can help you out. We can do it. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I had actually applied to go to the Army at that point, and I guess they didn't call me. So I did my real estate course. And here's what happened. In school, I always took it a little bit lightly. I had fun, but I never, I guess, really equated to what I was doing to a direct result. And now for the first time, I was studying something that I could really compute, okay, if I do this, it brings me that, I can do this. And it just, something triggered. So I fell in love with the business, dove right in, and I haven't looked back, and that's 16 years. And the beauty is this, my business, my real estate business keeps evolving, it keeps changing, it keeps, it keeps me on my toes. And if I can speak in all honesty, even though I've been in the business for 16 years, even though we have the good fortune of of having some measure of success, I feel that I'm not even halfway to where I want to be.
That's great to hear that. You know what? Your story reminds me of a song. I don't know if you know that song, Chiabella. It's a Quebec guy. I don't know what's his name again. I forgot. It's one of my favorite songs. He sings about he goes to Italy, and then he find love, and then he has to say bye to her because he has to come back because he went there for the summertime.
Yeah, I stories.
I forgot the singer, man. He's really good. It's a Montrealer.
C'est un temps, il y a longtemps, j'étais tout jeune, j'avais 16 ans. Mon sac à dos sur une épaule, sur l'autre la vie. J'étais parti refaire le monde, avec mes idées vagabondes, dans un village près de la Sicile, en Italie. Je vivais la vie comme on la vit, quand on est jeune et sans souci, comme un voyou.
And Italy, it's a great country. I love Italy. I already went there. I have family there. Like Sri Lankans, man, we're everywhere. We're like Chinese. Now you're gonna see that. You're gonna see us everywhere.
I know. Well, we talked about this before. One of my good friends is the owner of Remax Sri Lanka, with their offices out of Colombo and whatnot. Sujan, in Toronto. A great guy. And Matani, two people that I met. Actually, that I was fortunate to meet at the the Asia Pacific conference for Remax in Korea a couple of years ago, and in Las Vegas, and just amazing people. So yeah, definitely. So that's on my bucket list to go visit
Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful country. You have to go. If you go, let me know. Maybe, I don't know. We can go together. So that's great. So I know that real estate, there's so much to do in real estate. If you're a broker, you could do you could find a passion in the real estate business. You know, let's say you love to speak to clients, close the deals, but you could do that, and after that you could delegate other stuff to other people. So you found the passion on the results that brings.
It is, but it's not only that. So I think you're asking a very pertinent question, because so what's my why behind it? And that also evolved. First of all, I don't think that there's only one way to be successful in real estate. You can be part of a team, you can lead a team, you can work as a solo agent, you can do commercial, you can have a niche market. I think the important thing is that you enjoy what you do. For me, real estate did evolve, and at some point, I was more into investment real estate. Actually, my first revenue property I bought was in Chicago. Chicago, with a good friend of mine and an agent who became a friend. His name is Tony Medadero. And I was leaning towards that path a little bit. And in all honesty, it was a little bit out of lack of fulfillment for the business. Because after a certain while, I felt that it had become redundant. It had become, there was mechanical, and I was looking for something a little bit more. And here's what happened. When we started developing our area here in Pimonte, one of the very first things that I did was to model my business after one of my very good friends in Thunder Bay. His name is Vince. And basically, he does zero print media. He does zero billboards. He does zero bus stops. He does almost no paper advertisement. But this guy is involved in basically every community event. He's on councils. He's on different boards. He's done all kinds of fundraisers. He's raised $1 million for his hospital. Like, this guy could be mayor of the city. And so I started implicating myself a little bit, myself, my wife, my team. And here's what happened. Here's the change. People started looking to us for more than just the transactional aspect. So I guess what it triggered was the emotional response that I was looking for, which I think everybody longs for, a certain validation. And my validation came from the ability to do more than just sell homes. So yes, we advise people. Yes, we guide people. Yes, for many, it's the most important transaction. but there are many real estate brokers who do that. What was our difference? What did we give back? So I have kids. We started, becoming part of the parent committee, raising money for the school, and then raising money for the Alzheimer Foundation, and then organizing a pumpkin event. We started this about 5-6 years ago, and so on and so forth. And it just grew and it just grew and it just grew. And then what happens is that people associate us in a different way, to us in a different way. And for me, I think that's one of the aspects that I find the most validating. Now, that combined to building a strong team that's not dependent just on the one guy or the one girl, a real team, a team that the leadership comes from within, then what happens is that even these events became gratifying for them and give them an opportunity. And as we're seeing now, part of my team is off. They're branching off and doing little events and starting, different types of fundraisers. And so it's a ripple effect. It's like throwing a stone in a pond and you have the ripple effect. So it's just, there's a lot of gratification from that. The business aspect is always important, but the ability to do more and to be seen, I guess that's my own personal validation as somebody who can do more than just sell a home.
Great to hear that, Sebastien. Your point of view is so different from what I used to hear. Usually, like realtors, what they do, it's a lot of marketing, a lot of billboards, a lot of things that you spend money on marketing. But your point of view is so different.
And it's not to take anything away from anybody who does more traditional type of real estate. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, somebody who hires you to sell their home or to find them a home or to do their commercial deal may appreciate the fact that you do something on a bigger scale for the community, but they're hiring you for business. So you still need to bring value to your client. You still need to have a strong setup. We do it in a very, I think, balanced way, in a different way. But it's not to take anything away from anybody. Like I said, there's many ways to do business. Now I'm talking more for myself. And here's the beauty is that, so I got inspiration from a few people, Vince that was in the States, and my buddy Thierry Lindor back in the day. He was doing things differently. He had his influence conferences. So that inspired me, my broker's desk, these sort of conferences that we do. The summit that we put together, I put together a conference that we had over 350 people. These are all elements that are surrounding my business, but that drive me, I think, as a human being, that give me the validation that I'm looking for. So I put the passion behind it, and I don't consider it work. At the end of the day, I still spend my 10, 15, sometimes 20 hours behind the desk and doing what I need to do for my clients, because that's the primary reason why they hire us.
Of course. And one of the reasons why I love this podcast, I love my concept. It's I bring new people who are succeeding in their business, and everyone has different point of view.
Absolutely.
And your point of view is so different from others. And the reason why I do this is the people hear this, apply in their business. Let's say you say something that they like and they want to copy it, do it in their way. They could do it. That's the goal. That's the goal, is to inspire others. I
think we do. Sorry to cut you off, and I think we do, and that's really where I position myself. I mean, there's not much that I'm doing that nobody has ever thought of or done before. So you draw inspiration from people around you, people that you look up to, and then if I could inspire other people, and I think we have to a certain level. We've inspired, I think, certain brokers to take a different approach to their business. That's gratifying as well. So, in spite of what anybody thinks, your competition is always going to be the man or the woman looking at you in the mirror. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
So, you got to do what you have to do. find the inspiration around you. I think it's great to emulate. I think it's also great to, to mention that, I look up to this person or that person. I think it's great to highlight other people's successes. And then whatever you do, you add your own flavor to it, your own taste, your personality, and you make it your own. And I think that holds true for all businesses. Very true.
Tell me, Sebastien, in the real estate game, in the real estate brokerage game, it's really hard to make it. It's a hard game. It's usually like 50% of newcomers that comes in the real estate game goes out the next year. And you've been doing this for 16 years. What's your secret?
The secret, the magic
secret sauce.
The secret sauce. Look, I mean, everybody knows what the secret is. It's very simple. It's work. You got to put the work. You got to do the hours. But you got to be passionate about what you do. You have to know your why. What's the reason? What drives you? And what drives you this year might not be the same thing that drives you next year or in 5 years or in 10 years. So I think a lot of people who join the business and who don't necessarily last, it's not because it's hard. I mean, any business is hard and any business is easy if you like it. I think it's more maybe the reality of the business, the expectations, what's been sold, what's the real drive behind it. And so that's one of the other things that I'm very...
It's because of you guys. Like, you make it seem easy, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, but the hard work you put behind...
You look at people who succeed, then they make it look easy. But better than anybody that there's the work behind it. So really, look, I mean, to anybody who the secret is this: patience. Have patience. Put in the work. Have patience. You combine those two with a strong why, and you can't really fail. I don't think so. It may not be for you, but that's not a failure. I went to Italy, and this was probably the biggest gift. One of the biggest gifts from my father was to say, okay, I'll send you to school to this place. It cost quite a bit of money back in the day. And, he took that, he made that sacrifice for me. And I went there and I learned so many things and I met so many people that I'm still friends with today. But ultimately, I don't do, I don't paint. I'm not an artist. I apply it to my business, maybe the artistic twist to it. But I don't consider it a failure. On the contrary, this is so much part of what made me who I am. So for anybody who goes through, whatever business, I have friends who are either in the real estate business or the mortgage business that evolved out of it. And, they're better people in a certain way because of what they lived. They probably appreciate their business better for having seen another side. So I don't think you can fail in that sort of sense. But if you want to, if you want to make it, you need a combination of patience. So I know I'm going on here, but it's because I'm thinking
so much value, man. Go on.
and I think that the challenge is this. Okay, so here's what's more challenging for somebody today. When I started, there wasn't social media to show me in my face every day this guy's Porsche and this guy's Lamborghini and this guy who bought a 9-plex and a 500-plex and this guy who sold 15 houses in 30 minutes and this guy who sells a house, so there wasn't that much pressure, right? So, and don't forget, that's the narrative that we put out there. Today, the agent who starts wants to succeed right away because he or she is seeing all these different things. So that being said, patience is important. You need to have patience. I think that's one of the things that even more today, because there's such a strong message. Now, on the flip side, there's a lot more resources. There's these amazing podcasts. How long have you been doing this?
It's been like a month. It's been a month. I started doing this podcast, but I started doing videos, interviewing people last summer. So less than 9 months. Less than 9 months.
And you've been putting yourself out there and you're connecting with people, you're learning and you're sharing and you're teaching with everybody that you interview. And this content becomes available for a lot of people. So there's a lot of resources. There's a lot of inspiration. So it's a fine line. There's a lot of pressure because everybody's a superstar. But at the same time, if you take the time to look at it properly and you know what you're looking for, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of resources, and there's a lot of great examples of people putting themselves out there and succeeding through their hard work. So I'm looking at all these brokers, and with Instagram and Facebook and the different platforms, you see their day-to-day grind. And, some of them have interesting marketing, but they're all accompanied by one thing. It's just great work ethic. And that's what it is. Work hard, be patient, have a strong why.
That's so true what you're saying. Pressure from the outside world, especially with Instagram, the social media. All you see is the good work that these realtors put, but you don't see them. You don't see what the hard work they're putting.
You don't see the flip side.
Exactly.
No, not many people put themselves out there and in a vulnerable way. I mean, there's times where I didn't know if my business was going to last. There's times where I made mistakes and I'm like, what the fuck? Or transactions that just suck the life out of me, or you're growing a team and you're investing in people and it doesn't work out. And of course you take it personally. But I don't do a lot of videos saying, hi, welcome to the broker's desk. Today I'm going to talk about everything that went shit. And
you should. Well, it's a great idea. Maybe
at some point I try to be I don't try. I think I'm as authentic as I can and uplifting people and being positive. Mm-hmm. But it's important to not just to have some sort of rationale that what we see is the best of the best, but there's a whole story behind it. And more, I think people are okay with showing vulnerability, and I think that might be a good counterbalance to the way that we position ourselves and who we look up to. I think authenticity is the most important thing.
And just to share you my stories, like before doing this podcast, I was like asking myself, am I the right guy? My English is not that good. My French is not that good. I don't speak a language properly. I don't know why. What's the problem with me? But I don't speak a language properly. I asked myself, should I do it? And I asked myself for a long time. And one day I said, you know what? Nobody's perfect. I'm never going to be perfect if you don't just take action. Never see what's gonna come out of that. So I decided to do it. I don't have the radio voice. I don't talk like the radio guy. But you know what? Fuck that. I'm pretty sure that people's gonna like what I'm doing, and I'm bringing values to other brokers. That's the goal. So
it's real. And you know what? Here's the thing. It comes down to this. If you enjoy it, if you really have a passion for it, then it doesn't matter. At the end, you're doing it for yourself, and people are gonna. I think they see that. They see that more than the nice radio voice or whatever, the perfect. So keep it up. And you know what? I appreciate that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, even to do the interview in English.
In English, yeah.
It's going to be an interesting twist on what you do.
So crazy. But I like to be out of the comfort zone. So let's go. Let's do this. So one of the questions that I was dying to ask you, I wrote this in English, in French, but I'm going to try to translate this. You have a unique way of presenting yourself on social media. Not simply just put there with your listings, and your way of standing out is putting other people, other brokers who are successful in your podcast. So why do you do that? So what's the difference that have in your life, in your business, by doing this kind of stuff?
Okay, so good. That's actually a fun story for me because it's definitely a defining part of where I am now. When I started from the broker's desk, this is in 2014, 6 years ago already. Not many people were doing that. Not many people were putting themselves out there just with the camera, just go live. And I did it actually as a challenge to myself. I went to a coaching session and the gentleman at the time said, you guys should do some vlogging, video blogs. And he also talked about developing good habits and consistency. And it's a known fact that if you do something consistently, or repetitively for 21 days in a row, it helps to build a habit. So coming out of that conference, I said, okay, fine. I'm going to do 21 days of videos. That's how I started from the broker's desk. And I just actually was close to my birthday. So my first video was, thanking people for wishing me happy birthday on Facebook, in person, yada, yada. And so that went on. And then the second day was a different topic. And then I talked about that famous story for me, a message that my mentor gave me after he passed away, which is basically when there's no wind, row, which is something that I apply to my business every day. And I got an amazing response. I mean, people were like, fuck, I love this. I'm watching it every day. And I was, oh, that's cool. And so that evolved. And now obviously the production that we have behind it is nothing like when I started. But had I waited for perfection, I wouldn't have done anything. So that's number one. I developed that. And the series at the beginning, I had, I don't know if it would be called criticism, but, people in the business were telling us, it's great what you're doing, but you should talk more about real estate. You want to put yourself out there as a professional. You want to talk about stats, about the market. And I was thinking, fuck, anybody can do that. I can take a quiz. Okay, well, today the market is up 5%, down 3%, this, that. Anybody can do that, but nobody can be me, for good or bad. So I sort of, I shut off the noise. I did my own thing. And as that progressed, I think it became something that was very unique. And the idea of bringing in people, so I don't just bring in other real estate agents, I bring in people from all walks of life, all types of businesses. And these are people that I look up to. These are people that I admire. These are people that have an interesting story, an inspiring journey. And one of the quotes that I also tell my team all the time and my kids is this: when you show the way for somebody else, you're showing it to yourself as well.
Wow.
So when these people are talking to me, I'm learning. When I'm talking to them, I'm also learning. So it's a continual, just amazing positivity, uplifting, empowering mind. And if I were to say, well, what's the one superpower that I have, is to have an eternal optimism to the brighter day. That we'll figure it out. And I think I've learned that from all these amazing people that I've interviewed or been interviewed from, like yourself.
Wow, that's a great way of looking at stuff. I like that quote, what you said before. Like, can you tell me again?
When there's no wind, row.
No, that's a great one. But the second one exactly. That's really good. Exactly. That's what I'm doing right now. Now let's talk about the secrets of Sebastien. Okay, what is your best tool of prospection?
What's the best tool that we use for prospecting? Yeah, you know what? I would be hard pressed to give you one secret or one best tool, because I really think that whatever it is that you use, it has to be real and it has to work for you. What are some of the tools? And obviously, like I said, people use either social media, they use print media, they use billboards, advertising, door-to-door phone calls. Some people are tremendously successful just calling people. That's a great thing. I built my business without making one phone call, but I built it in a different way. The secret is this, do what works for you. And I guess in that there's trial and error. There's, you look at different models. I like to aim high, look at, the people that I want to become, see what they're doing, and then put my flavor to it. I think that could be the best secret. Find someone. So I'm speaking to a broker right now. Mm-hmm. Find someone who seems to have their shit together, that you're inspired by. I would say pick up the phone and call them, because here's the reality: people who succeed, real successful people, the ones that I've met in my life and that I've been fortunate to meet, all have one thing in common. They're very generous with their success. They're very generous with what it is that they can show you, because it's not a competition anymore. It's as gratifying to be able to see someone succeed as it is to close an extra deal. So maybe I think that's what is the biggest secret of Sebastien: reaching out to people that you might admire, that you look up to, looking for coaching, looking for mentorship, and always try to better yourself and try different things.
Wow, great. It's been 16 years, so you have a big database, right? Of clients that you sold their house or bought the house for them. So what do you do with this database? Like, one of the big mistakes of realtors is not working on their database. So do you work on your database, like the clients that you already have? How do you do that exactly?
A bit old school in my approach, but I think it still holds true today. The number one person, or rather the number one thing to do, especially, for example, in a shifting market, in a time of crisis, in a time, even as an agent, right? Whether you've been in the business for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, whenever you need a boost, the best people to reach out to are the people who you've already served. They already know you, they already love you, they want to refer you business. And so one of the things that I do every day, my assistant sends me a list of whose birthday it is, and I just give them a call.
Really?
It's not fancy. It's not, it's not a tricky email. It's just a phone call. Hey, what's up? Just, calling to wish you a happy birthday, a little text message, staying relational in that sense.
So
and it's great to start your day with actually that sort of conversation, because you're not cold calling. You're not trying to get something. You're not selling anything. You're just saying, hey, transaction's done. I've been paid, and I've been paid sometimes, 10 years ago, but or 15 years ago, and I still call them. So stay in touch with your people. It's the first thing to do. Work your database.
So every day you call all your people that have their birthday on.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really nice.
Despina sends me a text message with the phone numbers already, like in the text message. And I just go, boop, 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 and I call. And sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 5 in a day. Sometimes, because there's new numbers and new names that add to the list, it's like, oh, this is a great opportunity because I hadn't thought of that person, in a year. So to see what's up and to connect. And look, it's not the only reason. Let's be honest. Obviously, it's part of a business plan to be relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's done in an authentic way, naturally and maybe organically, they say, oh, it's just so funny. I was just thinking about you. My aunt wants to sell, or we need a bigger home, or we need a smaller home, or whatever the case is. So, yeah, I think that's something that's easy to do. You don't need rocket science or a huge publicity budget. You don't need $500,000 just to call the people that actually made you who you are, brought your business to where it is.
It's crazy. It's like you're so successful in what you do, and you do some simple stuff that sometimes we forget that it still works today, right?
All the successful people that I look up to all have this thing in common, is that they understand that there's three parts that you can't ever forget. Number one, it's yourself, right? You got to take care of yourself, your family, your fitness, your finance. You got to be sane. You got to be, you got to love what you do, but you got to take care of yourself. The second thing is your team, the people around you, before your clients. I know it sounds funny, but you got to put your team first. So the people who help you, the people who make the business what it is, have to also be in good health, in good spirits, to feel supported, to feel validated, because then the service that they're going to give to your clients is going to be a direct result of that. So it's not the other way around. If you put business first before the people, it doesn't work out. So yourself, your team, then the business, and that's the aspect of it. You can always push for new business. You can always go fishing and send flyers for more and more, and that's fine because you want to grow. But I think that all the people that I've seen who've been really successful have been able to maintain a balance between growing the business, getting new business that comes in, while maintaining and appreciating it and generating from the business that already exists. Comes from the service that you give before, during, and after the transaction.
That's for sure. And then tell me, Sebastian, like about the phone call for your birthdays. I have so many questions. What's the feedback you get from the clients? Do you text them? Do you always call them, or maybe sometimes it's a text? And what's the feedback they give you when you call?
Well, look, the new clients that we call for their birthday, because not everybody has been called for the last 10, 15 years. Sometimes a new client, there's always surprise. There's always, well, how do you know? Well, when you sign a contract, you have to verify the person's identity, and that's part of, so it's not magical. It's not like I'm Rain Man. And I remember, although some people do, you remember my birthday? And sometimes I kid around. I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The reaction is good. And yeah, sometimes it's a text message, depending of the relationship with the person or the frequency, because, we have a habit of developing a good relationship with the people that we work with, the clients that we serve. And very often that becomes then more than just a client relationship. Sometimes they become business partnerships. Sometimes they become friendships. So, there's one client. This doesn't happen very often, but, I was working with them. I was looking for a house for them. We had seen 63 homes.
63.
5 offers. And I'm like, listen, guys, look, I don't know how to tell you, but I don't think I'm the realtor for you. I can't do it. And they're like, no, Sebastian, you're finding us a house and we're not going with anybody else. I'm like, okay. And then we ended up finding a house, and these guys have become, some very good friends. We've shared business. We've shared some good suppers, some good times together. And I consider them friends, and they are friends. So, for them, I'll probably call, but if I text them, it's because we probably spoke 3 times the week before. So that's the sort of thing. This real estate business is very unique in the sense that you become very involved in the person's personal life and their day-to-day, and very intensely for a period of time. And oftentimes the result of that, there's a bond that's created that's more than just transaction. At least I think for the people who approach this business in that way, where their objective is not just the sale, or the objective is not just an extra sign for sale, but really seeing that, the person that you're helping, you're guiding them, that you're an integral part of their success and whatever plan that they have. So when you approach it that way, the results then speak for themselves.